Hi, I'm Chris Haigh and this is the Fiddle channel, and today we're going to play Yes Sir, That's My Baby. Yes Sir, That's My Baby is an old jazz standard, and it was a request for Alice, one of my supporters on Patreon. This song was written in 1925 by Donaldson and Kahn, and you often wonder where a song comes from, and these two guys were visiting a friend of theirs, and the friend had a child who had a little mechanical pig that was walking around the floor, and as the pig walked around the floor it went he made his little mechanical noise, and they said, yes, there's our hit song. So there you go. It's quite an easy song, but you need to do quite a lot to it in order to make it interesting and jazzy. There's a whole load of very straight notes in here that we've got to jazz up. But this is an absolute standard in the kind of 1920s repertoire, and a really well-known tune. So a lot of jazz tunes actually have a verse and a chorus. They started off as popular songs with this verse and chorus, and usually only the chorus is ever played by jazz players. In this case, I'm going to play the verse as well, because it's very short, very simple, and if you're playing with a singer, the singer is going to want to have a go at the verse as well. So the verse goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's your verse. I'll talk about how to swing that a bit later. I'll just give you that verse with some backing. There's one little accidental in there, in fact two. So the second finger is going from a C natural to a C sharp, and then your third finger playing a D is playing a D sharp, and then a D natural. Although, to be honest, when I've played this in the past, we've never done either of those accidentals, so that's pretty optional. We'll come back to how to swing that a bit later, but let's just look at the chorus, which is similarly simple. So it goes 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's do all of that with the backing, and we'll include the verse. Now, I forgot to mention we have a couple of accidentals here as well. So the second half of the chorus, we got that, which I do with my first finger, slide the first finger down and back up again. You could do it second finger playing the B and first finger playing the B flat, like that if you wanted. And then we also have, which I think I would play open, either third finger or fourth finger. I think I would do third finger. And then we've got that C sharp again on the when it goes to the A7 chord. Okay, now what's basically wrong with this tune is that it has a whole load of da 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 da, which can be really boring. So first thing is, if you are going to play them as straight whole notes, I would do a lot of up bows. Now, why would I do that? When I do that, it just feels really mechanical, whereas when I do, I'm giving a real dig, a downward dig from the wrist to the little finger, to the index finger, down onto the bow. And that gives it a real punch, which you just don't seem to get with separate bows. But it's a pretty subtle thing, and you don't have to worry about that too much. But the other thing is, you really want to break up and syncopate and swing some of these phrases. So something like that, da ba da dum dum. So there I'm syncopating, ba ba dum, coming in early on the A note. And then you've got that long note, 2 bars, when you've got to really do something with it. So it could be a little bit of improvisation. We've got this kind of turnaround, G to E minor, to A minor 7, to D7. And it's easy to find something that will run through those. Just a simple little phrase. So let's just go through the verse again. And this time I'll swing it and I'll do a few bits of improvisation. I notice at the end there we've got a D7 chord, and I just went down an arpeggio, including the 7th. You could do an upward arpeggio if you wanted. Then we're on to the chorus. Again, lots of punch and lots of syncopation. Now that is a really nice place for the grappelli harmonics, which I do 2-1, 2-1, and the notes I'm fingering are those notes, but when you put them lightly enough, you get those lovely harmonics, and you'll hear that in Stefan Grappelli's playing an awful lot. Now, when it comes to actual improvisation, this is a pretty easy chord sequence to play. Most of it is kind of diatonic, so you can use either the G major scale, the G major pentatonic scale, or the G major blues scale through pretty much all of it, the only exception being the A7 chord. I'm just going to give you, first of all, G major scale, as I said, then G pentatonic, and then G blues, and I will ignore that A, and let's just see what it sounds like. pentatonic. The flattened third to give the major blues scale. So in all 3 times round, I totally ignored the chords, and I think they got increasingly interesting. G major scale was pretty boring. Pentatonic scale worked fairly well. The blues scale gives you lots of almost emotion, shall we say. But the fourth approach is to actually address the chords properly, in which case we're going to do... So when it goes to the D, we're going to stress the D sharp at the F sharp. And you can, if you want, follow the 2-5-1 in that turnaround. Something like that. In the bridge. So I'm definitely showing that it's a C chord. And I'm putting a very deliberate C sharp in to show that it's an A chord, an A7. So that's an approach that you have to think about more. It is more interesting, more intellectual, perhaps less free than if you're going to use the blues scale. But let's hear a couple of times round playing with the chords properly. So your aim really is to be able to do all 4 of those things, to be able to just play the major scale, which you can get away with in a tune like this, the major pentatonic, the major blues scale, and actually following the chords. And when it comes to following the chords, I did a video recently on what are the 4-note arpeggios of a chord. And more interestingly, how to find ways of swinging or varying the rhythm of those arpeggios. So that it doesn't just sound like a mechanical exercise. Okay, I hope you found this useful. It's a simple tune, but there's lots you can do with it. I'll play you out with 3 times round a solo on the chorus, where I will mix up all of those different approaches. If you'd like a copy of the sheet music, do subscribe to the channel, send me an email, and I will send you a PDF. And it will very much help me to keep these videos coming if you consider joining me on Patreon, where you can get hold of all of my PDFs. There's around 500 of them from the Fiddle channel and another 150 that are only on Patreon. And lots of other goodies as well. So thanks for watching. See you again soon.